Anyway, let's take a look at some examples of the anti-homeless brigade in action. First, the goofy homeless person news stories. Here's one from the esteemed publication The New York Post. Homeless man smashes bottle over his head in NYC deli. Wow! How newsworthy! A man who seems to be in terrible distress. Do they interview the unhoused man to see why he's in such distress? No. They just interview the business owner who complains about how much these homeless people are disturbing his business. Homeless man arrested for living in luxury suite of Tampa Bay soccer stadium, gasps another headline. That shows a mugshot of a man who was arrested for the crime of finding shelter in a place currently not being used for anything in the middle of a pandemic. The news site didn't interview the unhoused man to see why he was left with nowhere to go in the middle of a pandemic, or why he might be avoiding crowded homeless shelters, again, in the middle of a pandemic. Instead, they interviewed a spokeswoman for the local police department who said, quote, he got into the merchandise store and was wearing a bunch of team merchandise. He made himself quite at home there. You get it, right? He made himself at home. What's funny is he didn't have a home, and he was arrested for desperately trying to find himself a home in an unoccupied space, otherwise not being used. It's called being hilarious, thank you very much. Now, you might think, hey, what's the harm in an unhoused person using an empty room in an empty stadium as a shelter? You may even ask, hey, why aren't we using empty rooms in empty stadiums to help house all the unhoused people right now, to keep them and others safe during the pandemic? Well, clearly, you just don't know how dangerous and evil homeless people are. I mean, just look at all these stories about homeless people committing crimes. See? Dangerous. Although, I guess it's weird that we only ever point out the housing status of someone accused of a crime when they're homeless. We don't see headlines that say, homeowner starts fire, or homeowner arrested for drunk driving. That's weird. It's almost as if this media practice perpetuates the stereotype that homeless people are inherently violent, or that they're homeless because they're violent. But when you look at actual research instead of the extremely trustworthy New York Post, you'll find that not only are homeless people more often the victims of crime, but providing unhoused people with homes actually decreases crime rates. So, wait, you're telling me, or I'm telling you, let's be honest, that instead of arresting homeless people for living in stadiums, which can lead to a cycle of homelessness due to the difficulty ex-cons face finding housing, we can give people basic shelter and necessities, and this actually improves society, including crime rates? What? I pretend to ask. What? I shout sarcastically. Quick, somebody call up Ted Cruz's pubes. Wait, no, Ted's got it. So it seems like these fear-mongering headlines only serve to stigmatize homelessness, as if by making them seem like criminals, we can blame them for all of society's problems, and then fix the problem by arresting them or cleansing them away, which just so happens to align with the interests of the wealthy. But maybe I'm just being paranoid. You know, it's not like police and corporate media jump to blaming unhoused people for, like, natural disasters before an investigation even occurs, right? Wait. Why'd I get wah-wah'd? What's the wah-wah for it? Did I say something that is immediately going to be undermined by information showing the exact opposite of what I just said? Right. Wah-wah. It turns out that during the 2018 California wildfires, LA officials tried to blame the Bel Air Hills fire on homeless people, despite the fact that a full investigation hadn't even been completed, and nothing had been conclusively proven. Despite this, officials used that as a reason to clear out homeless encampments in the area. Now, for those who don't live in the dry, flammable tinderbox we call California, multiple wildfires happen every single year, from numerous causes, including power lines, sparks from vehicles, weed whackers, basically anything that can cause a spark. It's as if global warming and drought has caused mass drying of vegetation that will inevitably burn given the smallest spark. Weirdly though, it seems like officials aren't confiscating all cars and weed whackers, and instead only care when the spark is allegedly caused by homeless people, because then the homeless need to be cleared away. And coincidentally, the wealthy people who lived in the Bel Air Hills area were, surprise, surprise, super jazzed at the opportunity to clear away the homeless. Nikki Minor, the vice president of the Bel Air Beverly Crest Neighborhood Council, said she wanted LA officials to focus on getting them, the homeless, out, clearing out their gear, and keeping them out. I frankly don't care how they do it, as long as they do it. The homeless population needs to know they cannot set up in or near the hills, period. Huh. It almost seems like blaming homeless people for natural disasters that are a yearly occurrence all over California is just a pretext to clean them out, because they have poor people cooties and they ruin the view from your mansion. I hate it when the suffering of others spoils a good vista. Wow, what a clip that was from the show. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe to this channel as well as our other channel where the full episodes are. It's called Some More News. This is called Some More News Clips, which you know because you just watched it. Anyway,